City ground, Newcastle United have beaten Nottingham Forest 3-1. It was a really, really good second half performance from Newcastle. 1-0 down at half time to this from Murillo's header. Came back with the goals from Alexander Isak, Joelinton and Harvey Barnes at the end. Much more controlled performance I felt from Newcastle overall, particularly second half where they managed to stem the ferocious early atmosphere here at the City ground. Fans are obviously buoyed from a great season start, third in the league, and they've got a lot to be proud of overall today. That Forest team didn't really show up, and in my build-up I made a big point about their defence and Nikola Milenkovic being such a key player for them, and the fact that he cost them so little money, and Forest have conceded 3 goals in all in the Premier League so far this season, conceded 6 now because of Newcastle's potent attack. Really good in possession as well. That was the difference. Forest was so poor on the ball. They gave Newcastle the ball so high so many times, and that was ultimately, I think, what their undoing was. They couldn't deal with the pressure once Joelinton moved over to the right hand side from the left in the first half. Obviously he started alongside Willock on that left hand side, Gordon on the right, and then halfway through the first half they swapped, and I did have my concerns about that because obviously Joelinton on the right hand side against Fulham when he was in the midfield three didn't work, but he was much more potent on that attacking right hand side. Linked really well with Tino Livramento, and he took his goal brilliantly. But this is a Newcastle side that needed a big performance today. That's what I thought coming into this game. They needed to make a big statement with a victory away from home, because they've just beaten Chelsea and they've just beaten Arsenal at St James's Park, and as great as that is, and as much as that makes it feel like they're back and that the team is on the up again, St James's Park and away from home is a completely different story. And there were issues in that first half, particularly when the ball was in transition and Forest took one pass to get them through, and it happened a couple of times in the second half as well. One pass. I don't know if Newcastle's midfield lacks a little bit of mobility. I'm not quite sure about that, but it just feels like something wasn't quite right with the midfield makeup. Obviously, Gibbs-White was influential in that first half, next to Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, but that was kind of what felt like the story of the first half, and it was kind of the way that things worked in the second. But also alongside that, Newcastle were dominating the ball and creating good opportunities. They just couldn't get their eye in for chances in the first half. Suddenly they started to in the second half with the leveller from Isak, and then the goals from Johnson, as I say, from Barnes. But there's a brilliant Trivella sort of chance from Bruno as well that really sort of showed, I think, that they finally got their eye in, their quality and their confidence was all there. It was a much better overall performance in the second half, and I think the difference was that they finally got their mojo back, and they finally got their eye in for the chances. But this is what they really needed from this game, because they were continuing a situation where they're really good at home and really, really poor away, and it was a sort of Jekyll and Hyde thing, and you're not going to get into the Champions League spots or the top 6 or whatever the aim is for Newcastle this season if you're performing like that. And we've seen obviously Spurs losing at home to Ipswich today, Villa losing on a poor run again. They lost to Liverpool yesterday, but they've also lost to Spurs recently and dropped points a lot. They're now, both teams are now below Newcastle, but it is really, really tight. Newcastle are now a point behind third place Forest, but also I think also level on points with 9th, which sort of shows you how ridiculously tight the league has been this season. Obviously with Man City not running away with the title, it's really, really exciting at the top of the Premier League at the moment. But Newcastle finally, as I say, they look like a team that knows what it's doing. I think that was my biggest issue at the start of the season when they were winning games. It felt a little bit inexplicable as to why they were performing the way they were, why they were so sluggish in games, why they were only relying on moments, whereas now it feels like it's much more thought through, it's much more developed. Their plan and what they're doing is really working for them, particularly with Willock. I said before the game I would have brought Willock out and put Tonali in, and I think before people start criticising the choice of Sean Longstaff, I think at the moment the choice is not Longstaff or Tonali, it's Willock or Tonali. Willock away from home makes a difference. Obviously that link up early on with Joelinton, he was the biggest threat in that first half, alongside another really good performance from Lewis Hall, and congratulations to Lewis Hall, deserved England call up because he's been phenomenal. He was really good going forward again today, set the tone for Newcastle, but there was just more purpose and more creativity and more ideas about Newcastle in that second half. When the space opened up, when the opportunities came, they killed the game off, and once the second goal went in, this place, which had been quite raucous in the first half and was really up against against Anthony Taylor, who obviously Newcastle fans have got a few grievances with. I don't know how it wasn't a penalty for Joe Willock, and I don't know how Ryan Yates wasn't sent off, particularly for that challenge on, I think it was Longstaff in the first half, knee high. How he didn't get sent off in that first half, I'll never know. But the Forest fans were really frustrated with Anthony Taylor, and it was really sort of fueling the fire, and they were really behind their team. As soon as Joelinton scored that second goal, though, you sense that the whole place understood and felt that the game was done, and that Forest have sort of maybe run out of steam a little bit from today. Really good chance for Newcastle to regroup again and really build on it with West Ham, who have been in poor form after the international break. But actually, it's not really a great stopping point for Newcastle, is it? Because they've got their momentum back, they've got their form back, they've got something to build on. Now their break for the internationals, that's not really ideal, especially with West Ham having so many struggles and having so many issues. And Julian Lopetegui under pressure could have been, that sort of momentum could have really taken them into that game. Unfortunately, they have to wait 2 weeks to play it, but they'll go into it full of confidence and full of verve, and with so much to look forward to, because they've been so effective in this game, as I say, going forward. And I think, as I say, the big thing for me today was that they finally looked comfortable in controlling a game. Newcastle dominated the ball throughout, and that was the plan for Nuno Espirito Santo. Obviously, he came into this game with the same game plan to do exactly what he did in the game at St James's Park on Boxing Day. Allow Newcastle to dominate the ball, turn the game with Morgan Gibbs-White, get the two wingers on the ball and play through Chris Wood. And it started a little bit like that. There was a chance in the first minute for Wood from an Anthony Elanga free kick, and that's what exactly led to the first goal as well. Newcastle's defensive structure was poor, I think, with defending those free kicks. When the game was slow, that suited Newcastle, whereas before it feels like this felt like they've needed the intensity, they've needed the counter-attacking ability, the space to really hurt teams. Bruno was quietly quite good today in midfield, even though he didn't really dominate the game like he did here last season when he was at the City Ground. Sean Longstaff did as well as he could. Nick Pope again made a couple of really important saves when the game could have turned, and he was there to quell that. That's the thing that I'll take from this game. Newcastle were in control throughout, and they managed to quell it when it got difficult. They managed to keep it cool. They managed to keep it calm, and that they ultimately got the 3 points that they fully deserve. I think it's really interesting to see Joelinton on the right hand side. Whether we see more of that, obviously that's another option. And right hand side has been the big problem for Newcastle for so many years. There's two games where you could argue that Newcastle have found existing answers and existing solutions to a serious problem. It is a shame that the international break's come on. It stops that momentum, but ultimately a really good performance for Newcastle today, and they can build on it from here. Thanks so much for joining me. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos. No live this week to react to it, because obviously I'm here. I'll be back with a more in-depth analysis video tomorrow, and also another episode of Exploring Football next week. Thanks for everyone who's liked, shared and got involved with the Doncaster video yesterday. I really enjoyed that. I think I might even come back here for another video, because I really enjoy the City Ground. It's such an old, quaint ground, and sort of really feels like the football from a bygone era. It's really good to be here. I really enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.